So today's June 24th, 2013. If you go to Kitco, you're going to see a lot of red. So I'm not going to go to Kitco right now. I'm going to talk about one line in this book I'm reading. And it says in here that about this guy Dennis, this big hedge fund guy, this big superstar when he started blowing up, right? I mean, he lost like more than half of the fund like in one day or something like that. These guys go up big, go up down, right? And so this guy was managing money for others. Like when it was his own money, right? If he lost half his money in one day, if he started off with $1 million and then he has like 50 million and then he's got like 25 million, right? He went from 1 to 25. On his way to 25, he hit 50, right? Big bummer for that, but he still went from 1 to 25. When he was managing other people's money, it's a different case because people are joining his fund at different times, right? So there are people who joined his fund at 50 and now they have 25. And those are the angry people, right? The people who got in earlier weren't probably angry. The people who got in 50 are angry when it's 25. And that's probably a corollary for other markets. I don't know. But anyhow, so what he says here is he's saying here, he says, I found out the hard way by going through the courts that disclosure documents tend not to mean anything. So what he's saying is he's getting sued, right? People people have disclaimers, disclosures, but when the rubber hits the road and people are losing money, and they go to court, and if the courts, side with the people who lost the money, it doesn't matter how many forms he had them sign. He still got sued. And that's how our system works, right? You can try and have people sign things to say, oh, I won't sue you. But a lot of them will. And some of them will succeed. There's probably a parallel here somewhere else too in the markets. I don't know. But the meat is this other book here. So there's this book here that Damon Vickers recommended. He recommended this book and this book, right? And as you know, I'm in the process of sucking up to Damon Vickers. Hey, Damon, how you doing? Am I doing a good job of sucking up to you? Because I want to learn what he has to say, all right? So, anyhow, this book right here, called One Up on Wall Street. Whenever I see a book title like this, I'm kind of suspicious or skeptical. It's like one of these titles is, yeah, you're going to beat Wall Street. But there's actually some good stuff in here. So, he's going through an anecdote here about the Cuban Missile Crisis. He says, during the Cuban Missile Crisis and our naval blockade of the Russian ships, the one and only time America has faced immediate prospect of nuclear war, I feared for myself, my family, and my country. Yet the stock market fell less than 3% that day. 7 months later, when President Kennedy berated U.S. Steel and forced the industry to roll back prices, I feared for nothing. Yet the market had one of its biggest declines in history, 7%. I was mystified that the potential of nuclear holocaust was less terrifying to Wall Street than the president's meddling in business. I was thinking about that quote, and that's a fascinating observation and anecdote. Yeah, so, I mean, on some of these books, you see it in the bookstore. It's a mainstream book. The masses have access to. I think this book probably, has no truth in it, but it has some, it has some observations like that are fascinating, right? On the worst day of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the stock market only fell 3%, right? Today, platinum is down over 3.5%, but there's no prospect of nuclear war. What's going on with the markets? Were the markets wrong? Or maybe did the markets know there was going to be no nuclear war, right? During that missile crisis, right? Did the markets know there was going to be no nuclear war, and therefore the sell-off was minor? I was thinking of that theory. I was thinking, wait a second, maybe the markets knew there's going to be no war, but how would the markets know that? And then I had a second thought. Okay, so let's say you're on the brink of nuclear war, right? Should you sell off everything, right? Well, what could you do? Like, so say that there's the brink of nuclear war, and all these traders sold off their stocks, right? Well, what would they buy with the money, right? If there's a nuclear war, what does it matter does it matter if you own stocks? Does it matter if you own cash? Does it matter if you own bonds? No, it doesn't really matter. So you might as well stay in your position, right? I mean, because if there's a nuclear war and you're dead, it doesn't matter what you own. But if there's no nuclear war, then the game goes on as usual. So I'm thinking it's one of two things. Either the market knew there wasn't going to be nuclear war, or the market said, hey, if there's nuclear war, all asset classes are toast, whether it's no matter what it is, right? And at that time, and like during the missile crisis, like I didn't see was there a huge explosion in the silver price? Well, I know that the price of gold was like fixed, and the price of gold, you really couldn't hold gold bullion as an investor. But did other precious metals explode, or that? So that's what I'm thinking there. I'm thinking that the market said, hey, you can never cash in on the doomsday trade, right? If there's a nuclear war, it doesn't matter what you own. Well, the only thing that matters that we own is, like, canned food and guns and bomb shelter, right? But other than that, take away those things. The other assets in the financial system, if there's a nuclear war, there's no financial system. So why sell off your stocks, right? Why sell these things off, right? So I'm thinking it's probably the second case there. But obviously, I'm creating a story. There was a reality that happened, and I'm trying to explain reality with a story. And my story could be wrong. I think my story makes sense, and it's probably true. But the fact of the matter is that's a case where the price really trumped what theories people had. And of course, for the 7% sell-off with President Kennedy getting involved in the markets, well, his involvement in the markets wasn't going to end the world, but it would change things in the economy, and that's why it sold off. So today, I'll talk about platinum because I don't think people are heavy investors of platinum. Platinum's down over 3.5%, right? And there's no nuclear war news. So just saying is beware of the stories. And when you create your own story, you got to understand that. Do you see the whole picture? I mean, do you have the ability to read every email and communication on the internet to form some kind of super organism consensus about what's happening? Uh-oh, that's another scary topic. What if the people who are able to read every email, see every blog post, and spy on everybody in the world, maybe they have information about the markets that no one else can have, because or does that matter? I don't know either. Too many tangents. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something.